Is Russia making real progress in Bakhmut despite taking massive casualties? And are the Russian mill bloggers finally realizing that Russia needs to pivot to the defensive? I'm Paul, U.S. Army combat veteran. It's April 2nd, 2023. This is your daily Ukraine update. Let's get into it. Okay, first, when we look at the combat map, you guys can see the biggest changes have happened in Bakhmut, especially in the north here, this northern industrial sector. Russian forces have advanced actually several blocks, probably up to 500 meters into the city. You can also see they've made some progress in the southwest corner. Again, we're seeing Russia really, I think, try to peel Ukrainian forces away from the Bakhmutka and just continue to exert pressure on the city. Having a victory in somewhere is just, it's got to be just essential to Russia's political survival, not just in terms of its ability to recruit and retain potential allies and supporters in this war that it desperately needs, but also in order to assuage its domestic population who want some sort of proof, some evidence that Russia is capable of achieving its objectives. When we look over at the combat map, you can see, again, Russian forces launching just 70 attacks in the last 24 hours, maintaining this much lower operational pace. But you can see, again, from the map here that they are focusing their efforts on Bakhmut, on Avdiivka, and on, to a lesser extent, Kremina, Lyman, and Bilohorivka. And this is, again, I think Russia realizing that its big offensive is going to be their best case scenario, culminating with Avdiivka and Bakhmut, which is way below, I think, what their expectations were. The UK Ministry of Defense is actually estimating that over the course of the last year, Russia suffered up to 200,000 casualties. That casualties, of course, WIA and KIA. And that actually it points out that a significant number of them are actually due to non-combat causes. We've seen this previously in leaked Russian training manuals that recognize that alcohol use is not just pervasive, but a cause, free or contributing factor to a large number of non-combat injuries among Russian troops, and it acknowledges that this is alcohol use is extremely high, at least according to this Russian Telegram news channel. There's been a high number of incidents, crimes, and deaths linked to alcohol consumption. Again, none of all of this is validated by things we've already heard, leaked phone calls, the manual, and it points out, again, it talks about other causes include poor weapon handling, road traffic accidents, and climatic injuries such as hypothermia, all of which could easily be contributed to by excessive alcohol consumption. When we look over, of course, at the ISW, they point out that many sources within the Russian space seem to be acknowledging that Russia's offensive has largely failed in its even scaled back objectives of taking and securing the Donbas. Right, a lot of mill bloggers are worried that the commitment to Bakhmut and Avdiivka is taking away from Russia's ability to prepare for counteroffensives, which likely will occur, they think, between Orthodox Easter on April 16th and Soviet Labor Day on May 9th. This is sort of a Soviet way of thinking in terms of symbolic dates and that sort of thing, but it wouldn't shock me. Again, Ukraine, especially their senior leadership, does seem to have a somewhat Soviet perspective on military operations. Of course, mill bloggers are sad and mad that there haven't been decisive battles. This is a battle where you can eliminate significant amounts of the enemy's combat power. That battle hasn't really occurred. Again, as we've talked about, Bakhmut largely a defensive fight, and I believe, though I cannot prove it, that significant portions of the best Ukrainian armed force members are actually preparing for this counteroffensive, training on new equipment, conducting planning, conducting exercises, and that the troops on the front line are TDF and other non-varsity, we'll say, troop formations. But still, the Kremlin probably realizes that it needs to achieve these victories, achieve something. Again, it looks like Russian military heads are likely to roll in the coming weeks. And if they want to save their careers, they've got to come up with a W. So I think the short-term selfish goal may supersede the more important goal of actually being ready to thwart Ukraine's counteroffensive. But this is pretty common in Russian. This is just a common move by Russia. Anyway, guys, as always, got to acknowledge that, you guys know, booted off Patreon, moved all of my stuff over to combatvetnews.com. Combatvetnews.com has, of course, all of my YouTube videos for free, as well as members-only content. This is all the GoPro footage, the drone footage of the real-world combat stuff that YouTube won't let me show you. Anyway, guys, I appreciate you, and I will see you in the next one.